KKHT wants you to meet three of the classiest guys in real estate.
I am Chris Kelso, the maestro of mortgage.
I am Rob Cook, the godfather of real estate.
And I'm Joe Orsack, the king of credit swing. And together, we're
the Real Estate Rat Pack.
Much like us, real estate right now is smoking hot. So whether it's buying, selling, or owning, you need to check out the Real Estate Rat Pack.
They're here to take your calls and answer your questions live. Call now 1-800-808-5548. And now, the Real Estate Rat Pack!
Every week.
Gets longer every time. Actually, you know, we're opening up our lungs.
It's species confusion. It's the Real Estate Rat Pack wolf call.
Yeah. Yes.
Well,
that is correct.
It's me pinching Chris really hard, actually.
I'm like, oh!
And then that's Joe feeling your pain, Chris.
Yes,
He's down
it's
there going,
empathy howl. It's empathy howl.
Yeah, it's an empathy
Well, in
howl.
the house today is our Lord Bacall, which is
Special
Teresa
guest.
Kennedy.
That is correct.
I have to give another international shout out to my UK audience today. My buddy Anthony tuning in from London. So
London.
I promised him I would give him a shout out. So there you go.
There it is. It's always good to give good shout outs.
That's it.
So I thought it was very interesting how Teresa got on the show today. She says, "I'm going to be on the show this weekend."
She
I'll
says,
see you there.
Yes.
I know. I demanded it. I
Yes.
said at you guys,
You know,
and I
but-
said, "Okay, guys, I'll see you."
This is the kind of pull she has around here.
Yeah.
She skips protocol entirely and just says, "I'll be on this weekend."
That is correct. And she is our Lauren Bacall, as we say. So
Yes.
she pretty much has run of the roost.
I
So.
do. And these guys, let me tell you, they're very well behaved.
All
and
I'm
well
saying-
trained.
Yeah.
All I'm saying, Teresa, is what happens in the limo stays in the limo.
Exactly. Oh,
But
my God.
returning also, we have Bret Hatfield with Down Under Pool.
Down
That.
under pools. That is correct.
And our brand new sponsor, which is John Dowdy with Permapeer. Welcome, John. I'm glad you could make it today.
That
He
is good.
He gave the signal. The microphone's too far away from him. So.
But we're going to be getting in here in the next couple of segments in a great company, and we're going to be talking a lot about services today.
Yeah.
Different services that we have, not only about improving your home, maybe repairing your home, and Teresa's going to be starting us off today about the market and what's going on in the great city of Houston.
This is percolating about what's going on in the market.
It's a potpourri
It's
show.
It is a potpourri show. Oh, my gosh. Okay, Mr. Clean.
I'll take
No.
S words for 500, Teresa.
Dun, 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 dun. Okay.
Okay, your segment's
Okay.
up.
Oh, Rob. So anyway, mate, as I was saying, no. Okay, so guys, listen, I have a lot of people asking me, and I just kind of think it's important that we touch base on what is happening with the market right now, because statistically, I was looking. I do a lot of analysis for the neighborhoods and how they perform. And the year before, 2012, on average in the Woodlands, it would take about 130 days to sell. And we're talking 13 homes on average for a neighborhood. Last year, for 2013, there were 26 homes on average, 30 days to sell. Now, what I'm noticing is I'm getting a lot of inventory on, but I'm having a hard time getting contracts. I mean, these are fantastic houses. We're talking, $500,000 and up. And before, I couldn't keep them on the shelf, so to speak. And now I'm having a really hard time getting a contract. So what's your thought on this?
Well, we were so spoiled because we expect that contract or that offer after 2 hours being on MLS, and I think the market might be leveling out. We had our first decrease in like 34 months happened last month, or actually the prior month, and so I think a lot of the demand for purchasing is being satisfied, and additionally we're probably moving into what I would consider a good, healthy, normal market, which is what I prefer. And the things they might be sitting on is because you got your sellers out there are looking at this going, wow, I can get top dollar. I'm going to go ahead and ask for more than the valuation. And, that will kill a sale. Absolutely will kill a sale.
Well, one of the things I can tell you from a financing that we're seeing right now, we're still seeing an equal amount of activity, individuals coming in and trying to get loans. One of the things we are seeing about individuals, though, they're being a lot more particular, a lot more patient in regards to finding a home. If they see that there are
patient people,
exactly. If they see that there are
Exactly.
Multiple offers, I have some individuals that are backing off. The other thing that's caused sort of an issue, I think, just in general to a lot of buyers out there is we had for a little while earlier this year, we had a lot of appraisal issues.
Yeah, that's
Appraisals
true.
were coming back.
We're still having them.
And individuals came back, and they were doing these multiple offers, and then the appraisal would come back bad, and they would back out of the deal. And so we also seen a little bit of the buyer's market, and let's go into the summertime as well right now.
Yeah.
So we have a little bit of the buyers though saying, you know what, I think it was a little too crazy. Let me wait until I get the right deal versus trying to get in and get the wrong deal.
I think that you're absolutely right because I'm seeing, because I am a listing specialist, I'm seeing a lot of buyers that are viewing the properties I have. They're being more picky. They're absolutely more, picky about what they like, colors, this and
what's
that.
What's your average price range that you work in?
Mine right now, it's jumped up considerably. I mean, I would say my average is about $450.
Okay.
And it's because in the area I live in, the appreciation, we're talking like 22% in some neighborhoods. It's crazy.
It's pretty.
A $300,000 house a couple years ago is the $500,000 house of today.
But I see also, and I always study and I try to shift with the market. And how I'm looking at this is because we only had less than a month of inventory left. Now we maybe can catch up a little bit. And so we can build up our inventory. And that's how I'm trying to be optimistic about it. But I'd love to get some contracts on my listings. But still.
Well, the folks we had here last week with the on the appraisal show that we did.
Yeah.
Had indicated that the 300 to 500 market was the market that was really rocking here in Houston.
Yeah.
And that's actually been true for a long time. You'd have a lesser number of units selling, but the overall volume went up. Mm-hmm. And that's been going on for quite a while. There was at 3 to 5s where people probably had a lot of cash and they probably moved to another home, had a lot of equity dollars put into a new home and things like that. So it's moved it for a long time. And right now, the 150 and under market has really
has taken a huge hit.
Oh, it's totally.
Some of the factors are that cause those spikes in the market.
I think what it is, especially in my area, we've got so much oil and gas. We've got Exxon coming in, CBNI is moving, a bunch of employees in. So we've got those executive type, buyers that are coming in that have the cash. And they're also coming from areas where a home that costs $300,000 here costs $1 million where they're from. So they have a lot more to work with versus, what it was before.
The other thing though is I was telling everybody because I was talking to somebody the other day. I said, we're very fortunate to be in Texas. Number one, we're very fortunate to be in Houston. The good thing about a little bit of a slowdown is remember what happened in California. California for about a 4 or 5 year period. Just absolutely, that bubble just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And when it popped, the downfall of it was absolutely catastrophic for that area, right? Houston has always been a real estate market that has controlled itself. And if it sees that something goes very big or starts to get that way, Houston contracts a little bit. Houston, I don't want to say contracting, but what Houston does is Houston actually puts a top on it, right? Yeah. And so we've been very good about measuring and monitoring and keeping ourselves in a healthy market due to that.
Well, something that I'm living here since '85. I never thought I would see or hear people talk about an absence or an unavailability of land. Houston was so darn spread out. When I would drive from downtown Houston out to Humble, or on 1960 from out in the Katy area to I could do that in the past. I could drive from Katy to Humble on 1960. Now that would be like a 3-day journey.
Oh my gosh! But about it, right?
But now you can't. There's no break between Houston and Humble. It's just like it's all one city.
Yeah.
And now it's a regular subject that we hear builders talking about the shortage of land.
Yeah.
Which that's put a different spin on pricing and the market that I think Houston hasn't really seen.
Yeah. Here's the deal on that is that in 2008 when we had a downturn in the market, the banks quit lending on new development.
That is correct.
And therefore, then we didn't bring any new subdivisions online. And now I know there's some big tracts. There's a big tract that's going to be in Kingwood that's going to be developed.
Yep.
It's going to be brand new. It's going to be multi-use, a lot of office space, houses and things like that. And so you're starting to see things come back online. And when you start seeing builders give incentives, then they've actually starting to meet the demands of the consumers. Now, you get close into town, it's still a hypermarket.
Yes.
If you get a great list in Westview, it's going to be gone quickly. Even our dear friend, Michael Roddy on that $2 million house,
right?
He's working a contract.
Right.
So I mean, and that's not he hadn't had that listing that long. So there's still
So lunch
big
is
demand.
on Roddy, is what I'm hearing.
Lunch and dinner, and I'm thinking a cruise.
Yeah, lunch, dinner, the bar.
Call the limo.
One question I have for you, Chris, is where do you see the mortgage, the interest rates, and are you seeing what changes?
It's a very good question because, one of the things we've seen this week is the bond market took another hit, which means it went down. So when it goes down, rates obviously go down. The bond market has sort of ceased to be a logical form of being able to forecast and see where rates are going because it's all trader based nowadays. It's all the fundamentals associated with rates have actually gone out the window.
But is rates even an issue now? I mean, you're talking 3% loans.
No, here's where it is an issue though. We have now been in rates that have been at least in a 2-year period now in the very low 4s, even the high 3s.
Right.
And it's the normal aspect of things is if an individual sees a quarter point or a half point jump in rates, they freak out right now. And so one time you have to explain to them is, hey, guess what? It's still a great rate at 4.5.
This is why I shouldn't. I'm glad I'm not a loan officer because if somebody started pitching a hissy fit over a quarter point right now, I'd probably slap them.
Yeah,
because
you would do it.
Give me a break.
You would
It's
do a good
4%.
job.
And that's not good for business, by the way.
yeah, no. We
I've heard that.
a lot of times when we're competing,
You and your office.
when we're competing out there, we're losing deals
Brett, are you
over
getting a
eighths of
little
a
scared
point.
over there?
Slapping
It's
right on the money.
Hey, some people pay extra
Yeah.
for that.
But okay, Joe, you're scaring everyone. They're kind of moving away from you now.
Oh, wow! I think Rob just turned 8 shades of red over there.
He's like turning red over here. I know.
I know he's hyperventilating. I think.
What's going on?
Once again, the bad boys of Christian radio.
Did that bring back some bad memories or something?
Oh my gosh!
Woo! Oh, here we go again, boys.
Here we go.
Pour me another glass of champagne.
Yeah, but rates. One of the things I tell everybody is rates. In fact, I explained to somebody the other day. They were doing a specific type of loan product, and that product had about a 3/8 of a point, which is 0.375% higher than the average market rate. And they were like, "Oh my gosh, that's going to really impact my payment." When I went through them, I said, "Listen, if you look at what's going to impact your payment, you're going to be impacted by about $22 a month."
Yeah.
And they look at that for what they were getting as far as their down payment and et cetera, et cetera. They end up saying, you know what, you're right, that's not a big deal. But the problem is a lot of times people are going over these rates and they say, oh, you know what, I mean, you're at 4.125, I'm getting offered a 4% here. And they don't look at the fees associated with it, et cetera,
Oh
et
my
cetera.
gosh, some of those fees are crazy.
I tell everybody all the time is, make sure.
God, I'm so glad I'm not in your business.
Yeah, just
Joe,
can
considering
slap
your
people around,
position,
Joe.
we're glad you are
Yeah.
not in it also.
Yes.
know that rates are going to go up, though. Know that rates are not going to stay here. There is no way they can stay at this level.
No.
Like, sir, either you like doing business with us and we have a rapport and a relationship that fits with you, or we don't. What the heck is the 0.12 thing? That's just nuts.
What it also, you've got the
$12
friends
a
that know more than anyone else, and so they put it in people's head.
Don't seek real estate advice from your friends.
Do not. Do not.
That is like the biggest mistake. Well, my friend told me. I've heard a lot of sentences start with that.
Well,
Yes.
I tell people all the time. In fact, I had an individual the other day called me up and he said, well, my next door neighbor got this with this and this. And I said, you don't know what down payment they put down. You don't know what their credit scores were. You don't know what type of loan they did. You don't know all these other factors associated with it. And he goes, yes, I did. And I said, really? What was your down payment? Well, I think they put. I said, no, you think they did. So, one of the things is, remember, somebody's always going to have a better deal than you. Someone's always going to say, and I hate to say this also, because I've seen this time and time again, most time people don't tell you the truth, what they did end up getting on their mortgages. Why? Because if they didn't get a good deal, they don't want you to know they didn't get a good deal.
Well, I'm sure Teresa's heard this before. The people down the street got this for their house.
Oh yes, I sure have.
And because they were bragging they got so much, but you go and look at the data, and they're going, oh no, they didn't.
Yeah.
Well, we are
Totally not what
already
they
up against
say.
a break. She's giving us the evil eye over
She
here.
is giving us the evil eye.
I can see it.
We do want to tell anybody, if you have a question, yes, absolutely.
Call
If you
in.
have a question, give us a call, 800-808-5548. We have Teresa Kennedy in here. We have Down Under Pools in here. We have Permapeer in here. We're going to talk about all the services and things that can go on. So give us a call. In the meantime, we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back.
I live in a tiny closet, a lukewarm cold water flat, with room for a couple of cinders and a mouse, a hole, and a trap. I don't worry about the flights or count the stairs, 'cause I know someone's there.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
And we are back, having a good time during the break as usual.
Let me take a selfie.
Once again, selfies.
That is correct. We got to take selfies.
That's where we lost Bret last time.
Yes, on the selfie that we did last time.
That we did and stuff like so.
Well, coming up is actually, speaking of Bret, we're going to be speaking with Bret right now from Down Under Pools.
I planned that.
I got to tell you a true story.
We just lost Ashley. She's leaving.
She's leaving right now. She's laughing so much, yes. But
the producer said, I'm out of here.
So I can't take it anymore. I'm laughing too much with y'all.
These guys are morons.
But, I'm going to tell you, a true story happened this morning. So I'm in the elevator. Bret and I are coming up the elevator together.
Okay.
Yes, and I can't tell you what that was like. No, I'm just joking. No, but, we're coming up the elevator together, and I told Bret, I said, I need to get you over to the house. I said, because it's time for us to start looking at a pool, And I always measure an individual and a company in the way their response is. I said, we're not, he said, Chris, here's the deal. He said, I'd love to go over there and meet with you, and I'm going to go over there and meet with you. He said, but, we're going to go over there and meet and right size and get what you want, because my wife has all these needs. We don't want a pool that's too big, but a pool that's too small. We don't want to spend too much. We don't want to spend too little. We don't want to do this. We don't want to do that. And I'll tell you, the way he approached it to me was just incredible. Was like, you know what? We're going to go out there and and build something that's appropriate for you and your family and your home. And, Bret, I appreciate that, because that's what we look for here. Right? And individuals who are out there looking at pools right now, a lot of times they get individuals who go out there and say, oh, man, I built this pool for this person over here, and it looks this, and, it's only cost you $90,000, and you've already taken the person out of the equation, because guess what? They might have been looking at $50,000.
Yep.
And so, let us a little bit about that approach that you do. I mean, I like that associated with you.
Well, every situation is different. Everybody has a different budget. A lot of people want to come in and say, well, look, we really want the basics and just want something simple. And then when you sit down and start to go through, some of the materials and that kind of thing that are available, and what they're actually going to use it for, they usually end up finding out, well, we don't want something simple. We want something else. So everybody is different. Right. So the approach is, let's go out there and sit down, have a really brief conversation and talk about what your needs, your likes, your dislikes are, and then we can go in there and start to formulate a design. It doesn't have to be Disney World in the backyard.
Absolutely.
It really doesn't.
My kids would opt for Disney World in the backyard.
My philosophy is keep it simple. If you keep it simple, it can be really very effective. It can be sophisticated. It can be fun. All of those things. And then approach it from a material standpoint: color, tone, tint, texture, how we frame it with landscaping, keeping things really simple and effective. Also blending it in with the house. It's got to work.
It's the KISS philosophy: keep it simple, silly.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Well,
the political
SS.
KISS.
Yes.
Ah.
Yes. This is a KISS
We just came
theory.
up with a new acronym. KISS.
Not really.
ING.
Is it still a good time of year to be thinking about starting a pool?
It really is. Some people think that because we come into winter that it's less expensive and all that kind of stuff. It isn't. The contractors charge us the same amount of money, summer or winter.
Darn, I was counting on a 50% off.
I was counting on like a 30% off, for that time frame.
Shot my math.
He's giving you the eye. He's giving you the eye now. You better watch
out.
Once
again, the evil eye.
Please, sir, may I have some more? Yeah.
Please, sir, can I have another?
But typically people start thinking of pool. The weather's warming up. They said, let's build a pool now. So
what happens.
They contract around March, April. They're ready to use it probably by June.
Mm-hmm.
And now here we are almost into August. And
ideally, you know what, if you have the ability and you have the luxury, it's time to start thinking about getting a pool designed if you're going to go into and really do in-depth design. And so that you can create the space, get movement around the space, is to do that sometime towards the end of summer. That way your construction is going to be during the winter when it's not going to be used, and complete for the beginning of summer.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So
I'm glad you raised
She
your
actually,
hand.
she actually raised her hand in the studio.
I did.
Yes.
I did. Okay.
That makes about as much sense as our tuxes.
Listen here. No. Okay. So when I know that after overtime, you have to get everything gun-ited or whatever it is that you guys do. What's the time frame? Replastered,
There's no rule of thumb. And once again, this is another one of those things that is put out there and people believe it, like interest rates and all, and what people got down the road. So most pools in a bygone era were plastered with what they call white marble plaster. And it's exactly that. It's ground up white marble and marcite. Over a period of time, and that can vary. It's some people said you have to do it at the end of 3 years. Not necessarily true. There's still good quality. It's not going to crack and leak and go south on you. Usually, what happens due to water chemistry, because water chemistry is different everywhere, it will start to stain and etch.
Okay.
And so, how long does it take? You know what? It's how long's a piece of string? Some people who take very good care of their pool.
3.7
it might
feet.
be 7 years, 10 years. They might not have to. I personally, we don't use regular white marble.
I know
I
you
use all Pebble Tech or
Yeah.
Pebble Sheen. It's a registered trademark product, and there's only one out there with a bona fide 10-year warranty. And without going into massive detail about the construction of the product, it's far more robust. And I would go out on a limb and say that in most cases, you would never have to replaster your pool.
Wow.
What about? I'm raising my hand again.
There she goes again.
That's right.
What about?
Pick the lady in blue.
The lady in blue, please.
We'll go to the lady in blue. Your question, ma'am.
Okay. So what about like the rocks? Because I'm noticing that mine are totally washing into my pool, and so it's like, sand in my pool.
Moss rock.
And you can see where it's, eroding.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I'm like doing a little
Hula
dance in here with my hands.
There's all sorts of.
I heard that there's something I can put on the rocks to kind of treat them or something.
You can use what they call a penetrating sealer. There's several different types in the marketplace out there, and there's in terms of cost, there's varying cost too, depending upon the complexity of the material that you buy. Penetrating sealer, not a color enhancing sealer. It will help.
Okay.
It really will. And once again, given that it's moss rock, and I'm assuming that it's Ross rock, there's all different types of rocks. They'll be quarried from different areas around the U.S., and they all have different densities. And so in some cases, some people will turn around and say, well, it's the saltwater pool that's causing it to do this. Or it's, they'll come up with all these reasons, and there's really no empirical evidence to support any one of these arguments. It's all anecdotal, which means, people have run into the problem, and so they thought that's what the issue is. So unless we actually went
Brett's
out there...
using entirely too many big words.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
That's too early.
We need another bottle of champagne. Do you want me to talk slower?
In the studio.
So
nobody said we're having champagne here.
Well, I'll be getting a call from management on Monday.
I think Rob's turning red again. No, I'm kidding.
So
the producers saw
to answer your question, I don't know why. There could be several different reasons as to why they're. But yes, that's where the silt in the bottom of the pool. That's where it's coming from, more than likely.
And I think it's a good question right there that you asked there, Teresa, because one of the things that a lot of times you see is individuals all have stories about their pools, right? My pool did this, my pool did that, and at the end of the day is a pool is made up of chemistry, of items that because of chemistry can impact things differently. As you mentioned, rock has certain types of density, the type of finishing has the type of pool you do, whether it be a saltwater or regular, how you keep it, so there's a whole bunch of chemistry items, and let's face it, anyone who ever took chemistry knows you can mix and match different things at any given time, and on one pool it'll be absolutely fine, another pool it will have a different effect to it. And so, it's one of those things is I think as long as you get with somebody like yourself, Bret, and someone who knows what they're talking about and can put together and educate. I think education is probably the key piece.
huge. Being able to educate people and allowing them the ability to go in there and independently verify what I tell them. So there's this comfort level to it, but also there's no A and B answer. It's go in there and find the answer or a solution which is best for you.
Right.
And to avoid those kind of issues where the rock might be disintegrating and going into the pool, is there a preferred rock or outline?
It depends on the area. Unfortunately, I'm not a geologist, so the exact type of stone. You need to do research, and each time I go out the materials.
Well, I am doing research. I'm asking you.
This is my answer.
The answer is I don't know, but you can go find out.
One of the things that you're seeing, Brett, obviously we talked about right now. I've always told everybody the best time to pull in a pool is when it's the best time for you. As you mentioned, in Houston we've got great weather. We have weather 10 months out of the year. It's great weather that you could probably swim in, especially if it's a heated pool. And then, you maybe have 2 months in which you really can't do anything right there. But also you're seeing a lot of what you're doing is also the extension of the homes in reference to outdoor decks, in reference to outdoor kitchens. You're seeing a lot of those integrated into your pools.
There's been a big spike.
Right.
And it's very popular right at the moment. People are spending a lot more time outdoors. And, our summers are quite brutal here. So nobody goes and spends time in the sun without shade.
Right.
So there are, we're doing patios, pergolas. In quite a few cases, when I'm designing a pool, we actually put cover over the spa. And so it means that if you have a party, at 1 o'clock on Sunday afternoon, you want to sit in the spa, you can. You've got some shade.
Chris has got to be one of the only people I've ever heard to refer to Houston weather as great.
Yeah, I love Houston weather.
So do I.
Yes,
I think it's awesome.
To me, it's incredible.
It's great.
I love Houston weather.
Weeding out the weak.
Yeah. It is. It is.
Yeah.
You know what? Houston's just a great place to be, period.
I would agree. I would agree.
I am a Texas
Now, it's
boy.
a great place to be, but weather-wise, it's great. And, I'm one of those. I remember I came from Mexico where it's a dry heat, and it's hot most of the year. In Houston, what I like about it, I like the humidity. I don't mind the humidity. My wife would talk differently about that because of her hair. But, which I think most ladies
don't
relate
have that
to that.
issue,
yes,
do we?
But we don't have that issue. But,
what
we do have an issue is we're coming up against time again. We're coming up
Yes.
against another break. So, we want to hear from you. If you have a question, give us a call, 800-808-5540. If you want to hear from Teresa Kennedy. If you want to hear from Brett and all the great pools and decks that he has out there.
And we're going to have the exciting world of slab fixing.
And we're getting
Slab
we're going to be
fixing.
talking with slab fixing. We're talking about
Could we be more
perma-pier
Texan
here
on that?
Foundation
in a
and
couple of
pier
seconds.
repairs.
We're coming against a break right now, though, so stay tuned. We'll be right back.
100 years or two, and that's a recipe for making love. It doesn't need sugar, cause it's already sweet. It doesn't need an oven, cause it's got a lot of heat. Just add a dash of kisses to make it all complete. And that's the recipe for making love. And if you've made it right, you'll know it. It's not like...
Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
And we are back.
Meanwhile,
Having
guests
a
are
good
flying
time.
about the studio.
Everyone's flying around the studio, having a good time. We're trying to get people back into positions. It's the normal stuff.
We play Twister in between.
Wow.
Yes.
Just so y'all know.
Yes.
Anyway,
That's right. And I like. And by the way, I like the way you stretch from the red to blue across. That was pretty impressive. I guess that almost 6-foot frame allows you to do that pretty easily, right?
It does.
we really need to start video in these segments.
Yeah.
Although it could be used against us.
Yes, I was just going to say for the private collection, perhaps.
Well, with us is a gentleman I've actually known for a few years,
We're
and
terrible.
they have graciously agreed to be one of our
None of
sponsors,
this is
John
true.
Dowdy with Perma-Pier. Welcome.
Good morning. I just want to thank everybody here for the opportunity to start the sponsorship. It's really a good thing for us, good opportunity for us.
Well-
not to mention it is fun in here. So.
Well, we were all going to get a cup of coffee on the break, and I was sitting there, John. I said, one thing about foundation repair is nobody really wants to spend their money on foundation repair. When you find out, I want to remodel the house. Oh, by the way, you have to do $15,000 for the repairs. And then John's first response is that might be on the light side.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little about this. I think the predominant foundation in Houston, Texas, is going to be post-tension slab.
Yeah, your post-tension or tendon slab.
Yeah, which is basically cable that they after it's poured, they put tension on it, and that gives it its strength. There is no tensile strength in concrete, but that does help a bit. So let's talk about, does every slab, that when you start seeing things like telltale signs inside the house where you see the cracks going down the sheetrock lines and things, does that necessarily need a repair?
And, without actually seeing the property, that's a really hard question to answer. Each property, whether it's residential, commercial, multifamily, you name it, is going to respond differently. And then signs of distress, there's so many. I can't tell you how many times people have the wrong impression of what a sign of distress is.
Which would be the same as misconception.
Right.
Yeah.
It's still early, isn't it?
The one thing when I counsel, especially people buying new houses, is that sometimes we have predominantly gumbo soil here, and as it gets wet, it expands a lot, and when it's dry, it shrinks a lot, and sometimes you'll get stress fractures along joint lines, which is fairly normal. And people get very large, especially if they're coming from other environments like California, things like that, where they build it on rock.
I can't tell you how many times somebody from Colorado comes down here and goes, "Gee, I never heard of this before." And
they had to blast through rock to pour a foundation up in Colorado. So they get a little alarmed, and this is actually, when a slab is doing that, it's actually performing its function, because it almost, we used to say it floats.
Well, right, and the term float technically is going to be used in a commercial application where you have what they call a precast or a grade beam and then a floating slab. The foundations for your residential homes are designed to flex. That's why you have expansion joints in the brick. That's why they're constructed the way they are, because the path of least resistance is to allow the home to do what it wants to do. You try and remain rigid, and it's going to cause all kinds of stress later on down the road.
And so some people say, you know what? I really don't want to spend the money on that. I'd rather go buy a new pool, because that's going to be more fun.
Yes.
What is
Brett, what's your number?
I'm gonna get this guy on speed dial. Hold on a minute.
Yeah. But let's talk about what.
Toast. I want a pool.
When did I lose control? Let's talk about what are the dangers of allowing something to continue without addressing the issue.
Well, and once again, I mean, the dangers vary. It's going to be based on the soil condition of the home. Brett over here mentioned about geology. That's really important. The geology of the geological makeup of the lot your home or office building or whatever it is sits on. I've seen it as where homes bounce back. And we see really no problem with them.
Well, that's a moisture control issue in that point.
Exactly. Whether it be drainage or sewage, leaks underneath, or freshwater leaks, or the multitude of potential issues that could be. I've had to have the heartbreaking conversation of, well, I really can't fix your house. I mean, you really should call somebody with a bulldozer. And that's never a fun conversation to have with.
Oh my!
The subtle approach.
I got some dynamite in the truck. I hope the government didn't listen.
Wow!
I think we have the FCC on the line.
Yeah, exactly. But I do have a question.
Helicopters are circling the building.
But I've got a question for you though. Because one of the things that we see all the time, in fact, I see it a lot of times when these inspections come back. Just because you have a crack on the opposite side of things, just because you have a crack in your wall or something doesn't mean your foundation is ruined at the same time.
No.
And so,
but
talk
you
a
should
bit about
investigate
that.
at that
You
point.
should still always investigate it.
Right.
But, how do you address some of those things?
Well, knowledge is always power. I mean, the more I can educate a homeowner or anybody, real estate agent, you name it, the better off we all are.
Right.
If you've got any concerns, by all means, you can give us a call, and we'll be more than happy to come out and take a look.
What is that number, by the way?
That telephone number is, and everybody get a pen and a piece of paper, right? Area code 713-849-9993.
9993. Mm-hmm. We have a caller right now who is calling in. Her name is Kimberly. Kimberly, how are you doing?
I'm doing very good, thank you.
Kim? Is this someone that I might know?
This is somebody that you know, stalking you.
Yes.
Hey, I just wanted to say that I want to thank you so much for being the best real estate agent that...
Oh, wow. How much did you pay her for this?
best real estate agent that I know, and gives us the best everything that we have. So, but I just wanted to ask you about the swimming pool thing.
Yes. Oh,
Swimming pool thing. Okay,
Mike,
hang on a
we
second.
got
I have to give him
question for
headphones
you.
here.
And just so y'all know, Kimberly is a client. She and her husband, and they're also really dear friends of mine, and they're amazing clients. So thank you so much.
So
for
they
the
know
shout-out.
exactly how you are, which
Yes,
is
they
great.
They do.
Okay, Kimberly,
Okay.
we got Brett ready to prepared to answer any questions about swimming pools. So go ahead.
Well, actually, I do, Teresa.
I can't hear
because,
anything.
Chris and I are looking at buying a place at East Shore, and I just don't really know anything about swimming pools, and I was just wondering about, like the cost and the square footage and stuff like that.
Well, that would be definitely Mr. Down Under. What
Brett,
cost range?
the question was is that they don't have any idea where to start, what pools cost, or things like that. And of course, the answer I know is going to be it depends.
Well, and East Shore is a high luxury area, so it would be something,
About $250 then.
There's a lot of different ways to go.
And it would have
look,
to
to
be
give
small
you
because-
a little bit of an idea. There's a couple of different types of builders, and I'll keep this as brief and as concise as I can. So there's a volume builder. What they will do is they will work with their contractors to chisel down their prices, and so there's people like myself who are not based on volume. We're based on design and quality. And that's not to suggest that the others don't give quality. It's just a different approach. So to really throw some broad numbers out there, and this is very difficult because you have no idea of what goes into our basic product. But to give you a rough idea, just a pool only is going to start at around about 40, 45 and work its way up from there. And a pool and spa is going to start at around about 60, 65 and work its way up from there. But once again, it needs for us to get together and so that you would understand exactly what's included in that price range.
Let me chime in on this as well, Joe. Here, you have to go to his website and look at his stuff.
Okay.
What is that website?
Yeah, what's that website, Brett?
The website is www.downunderpools.com, and I'll spell that out. It's DOWNUNDAPOOLS.com. I tried to be cute.
And,
he has amazing looking pools. Amazing.
No, he really
I'm not just saying that because he's a sponsor on the show. I mean, genuinely, some amazing looking pools.
And he's a good bloke.
Absolutely. And the other thing is, once you get your pool built and you're going to be doing a barbecue out there, you're going to have a real Australian say, "Let's put another shrimp on the bobby."
There you go. Yeah.
My little Latin Martian.
Every Down Under pool comes with an Australian.
No, I'm
going to leave that alone,
It
Joe.
will be a small pool, but I want a
So does that answer your question?
She said it would be a small pool, but she wants a fountain.
And Kimberly, I'm having a really hard time hearing you here. They're having an issue with the headphones, and so there's basically nothing that we can't do. When you come to us and you give us a wish list, we'll sit down there, and then, a fountain isn't always necessarily a fountain. There's lots of different ways, and what I do is expose you to my library of ideas, and then between the two of us, we'll sit down and you give me your ideas, and we'll come up with it, and then we'll get into what we call design development, so that you end up with something when you take a look at it on my 3D screen, you go, oh, wow, I really want to be in that space.
That's perfect. And my husband does barbecue all the time, so you guys, well, obviously Teresa will always be there for barbecue, but
I was just going to invite the Rat Pack, so
we have to have a huge party there with the Rat Pack.
You'd like to know that I don't drink much. I spill most of it.
Demonstrated earlier this morning. Yes.
Thank you so much, Kimberly, for calling in. I'll see you later.
Absolutely.
Thanks a lot, Kimberly. All the best.
Thank you.
Okay.
Bye, doll.
Thank you.
Bye, baby. Bye.
And that's the way the Rat Pack rolls.
Shoot, we'll take a limo out to her house.
Absolutely. We'll have a good party out there with Kimberly. Let me tell you.
Whether it's pools or piers, people are very
Pools or
cost
piers.
conscious.
Yes.
And they do. Nobody wants to pay more than what is market for that. And so I do understand people being that sensitive. And of course, we were talking earlier about rates.
Right.
People being, they don't want to find out next week they could have got it for something less.
Well, it's one of the things I tell everybody all the time. And, when we come back after a break here in a minute, we'll go into more in detail about this, and we'll talk more again about with PermaPeer.
Some more
But,
peer stuff.
one of the things associated with home ownership is a lot more than just the mortgage you pay. There is maintenance. There is improvements. There is enhancements. There's the livability. There's a lot of stuff over a period of time in which you have to make investments into the home to make it still a home and to make it something that's worth having.
You know what? We're coming up against break.
I think that's a song, isn't it? A home is a home.
A home is a home. But, we are coming up against a break right now. You can call us at 800-808-5548. Have a good time here with us. Until the next second, which is going to be here any second now, we'll be right back.
Madam, with you, my heart won't let my feet do things that they should do. You know what? You're lovely. You know what? You're so lovely. And oh, what you...
Welcome back to the Real Estate Rat Pack Radio Show with Chris, Joe, and Rob. The crew is taking your calls, so dial in at 1-800-808-5548.
And we are back. Let me tell you, time flies when you're having fun, and time really flies between the break here, by the way.
Oh, gosh.
Yes.
I'm so glad none of that was on the air.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
I've got to reach out to Ashley Bryant with PermaPeer. She's in Dallas, and she's in charge of their marketing and things like that. So, first of all, please don't cancel our sponsorship. Yeah. We really do appreciate you being on.
I got to do a big shout out to a lot of different people, though. We have Capital Title. Michael Bohr, I know, is listening to us. Capital Title, a great sponsor that we've got. Obviously, PermaPeer. Somebody that we have to really do a shout out today. We're talking about services is Ashley Bowles.
Yes.
If you need a good home inspector, go out to our website. Go out and look at it. Ashley Bowles is incredible, by the way, especially talking about some of the services that we're doing.
We were talking with him last night. He is really busy because he's actually getting people, he's inspecting their homes.
Yes.
The owner of that particular home hates him right up front and then go, well, gosh, I want to use him because he was that thorough.
Right.
And that's happened to him 3 times last week.
Yes. Yeah, very, very good individual. Because we're talking about, one of the things we left off with PermaPeer was, about cracks and about some of the things that people look and see, and they don't know if they have to make a change or not. And there's always been this one thing, and I want to sort of dismiss this fear everybody has. Is everyone always says, oh, if you have a crack that goes up and down or vertical versus horizontal, that's a big difference. And really, there's no difference in regards to that. I mean, at the end of the day, if you end up having an issue on your foundation, the cracks are going to be in which direction in which it ends up going, right?
A crack is a crack.
A crack is a crack is a crack.
A crack is a crack. Great, guys. Thanks a lot.
Now we're gonna chase some ABCs here for a little bit.
Wow.
in cracks in drywall and brick, they're going to move in the path of least resistance, and it's typically it's going to be your stair stepping, typical gap of a crack, but. I mean, vertical, horizontal, it doesn't really matter which way it goes.
Wait a minute. Did you just say gap crack?
Hey, us foundation repair guys are a little off center. So let me see.
A month ago was about decking. It was about decks with Bret. Now it's about cracks with you. Boy, we got some good stuff.
Wow. I'm telling you. And we thought talking about foundation repair would be dry.